on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State Athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletics teams and administration each week. Presented by Cambridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Cardinal fans, we're back for another episode of This Week in Ball State Sports. And first up is Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell joining the podcast. Jeff, sorry we couldn't have you on last week with the technical difficulty on our end, but great to have you back. We'll have plenty to talk about.
Well, it's great to be back, Mick. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and let's go ahead and start off with one of the biggest events in the entire world that's happening here in a couple of weeks, the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs are back there again, and some more Cardinals are going to be a part of the festivities. Nick Jones and Carson Steele. Nick Jones trying to get back-to-back rings, and Carson in his rookie season. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's great for those two talented players. So grateful to have had them come through our program in various capacities. And, you know, it was fun to talk to Nick Jones after last year's Super Bowl win. And he talks about how surreal it was to go from playing at Ball State, playing college football, and then in his rookie season, I believe he goes and wins the Super Bowl, and it's just a different experience. And there's this classic image of him on the field post game, soaking it all in. And you know, he played last year in all the games leading up into or up to the Super Bowl through the playoffs anyway. Just a remarkable experience for him. And Carson certainly has been on the team this year as well and has contributed. So it's neat that Ball State is represented on the biggest stage in the Super Bowl. And just goes to show you that you can compete in the NFL when you go to really any school at the Division I level in college football and work hard and highlight or showcase your talents and get those highlights out there that people in that NFL scouting services will find you.
And there's a few Toledo players on the Philadelphia Eagles, most notably Quinyon Mitchell, who was a first-round pick for Toledo. So I feel like there's a little extra incentive here for the Chiefs and the Eagles here in Maction circles.
Yeah, those rivalries will never go away for sure.
We love it. So Kansas City, Philadelphia, Ball State has a couple of players on the Chiefs roster. Good luck to Nick Jones and Carson Steele competing in the Super Bowl coming up here in a couple of weeks. Jeff, on current happenings here at Ball State on campus, women's basketball is a perfect 8-0 in conference play. They've won 10 straight. This team has been dominant, and there's only 5 more home games to come see this team play. Exciting
team to watch. So to our fans, you don't want to miss the Ball State women's basketball team in action, 5 home games remaining, Mick, as you said, and it's just a really fun brand of basketball that we play, and our fans really like it, and they get excited for it, and so looking for some big crowds here to wind down the season. They have a tough one on the road. All road games are hard, especially when we're getting everybody's best punch. So we go on the road to play Ohio on Wednesday, and looking forward to watching the team compete in that environment. But they continue to improve too. Our talented young team talented team is getting better and better as the season goes on as well. So I'm excited to continue to follow their progress and watch them compete as the season continues. But the next game is always the most important game, and so we'll focus on Wednesday night's action at Ohio.
And Jeff, they still haven't been fully healthy throughout the year. They've still been battling some injuries. At least Stuck has missed some time. We had Maddie Bischoff that wasn't in for the whole season. Alex Richard missed games. They are figuring things out as they go without having every single player that they thought would be in the rotation on the court at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a hallmark of a team that is deep and talented and is connected in terms of playing the style of basketball that they do. So we've got a situation where regardless of who's on the field or on the court, our team knows how to play basketball and knows how to play the Ball State way. And I think that's precisely what Coach Selly wants out of his team. That's precisely what they practice. And I think they are conditioned to understand that game in and game out, there's going to be some type of adversity to deal with. And I think our core players understand that. And so despite the fact that we've had a couple of injuries here and there, they just continue to play the Ball State brand of basketball. And it's a winning brand and a winning style. And we go and watch them play. And it's usually in favor of the Cards when it's all said and done.
So 5 more home games for women's basketball. Get your tickets, ballstatesports.com. Call the ticket office, 888 BSU ticket. Make sure you come see this team play 5 more times in the regular season. Jeff, on the men's basketball side, trying to come back after a tough loss on the road against NIU. Ball State men's basketball at home against Western Michigan Tuesday, and then a couple of road swings.
Yeah, tough loss at Northern Illinois. Didn't play particularly well, and that was hard after going on the road and playing Central Michigan and coming back from a deficit and looking to try to do the same thing at Northern Illinois, and it just didn't go our way. So we got a rebound now, and as we record this, we play on Tuesday against Western Michigan. So it's a big win or a big game for us, and our team certainly is poised to win it. They've had a good couple of days of practice, and we're playing at home, which is always an advantage. But we're at a point in the season now where all these games matter. And again, just like for the women's side, the most important game is the next one you play. And so our guys will be focused going into Tuesday night's match against Western Michigan, and then go on the road for a couple before we're back home on February 8th. This is for an out-of-conference game against Southern Miss out of the Sun Belt, and then we'll resume conference play for the remainder of the season. But you're down to about the last third of the season now, and it's the games, for whatever reason, begin to get a little bit more magnified in terms of who wins, who loses, as we head into looking at conference tournament seedings, and which is always a fun time of year. But the stakes get a little higher now as we enter the back half and the back third of the season.
Hey, it's the Mitchell-Muncie matchup against Southern Miss. Former school, current school, head-to-head in the MAC Sun Belt.
Well, I don't think we need to go that far, but we certainly are looking forward to hosting those guys from Southern Miss to come play, and I hope they are scared of the cold weather and are reluctant to get off the bus.
I like it. Jeff, when you we talked about the MAC Sun Belt Challenge being born into existence last year. How have you seen that develop here in year 2 of that?
Well, I still think we're collecting data, and it's an interesting debate between league officials, administrators across the respective leagues, and coaches about the value that it adds for both leagues. And I think as we continue to develop this relationship, we'll get more consistent data points about what it does mean in terms of how it helps the potential seeding for Sun Belt champions and MAC champions as it relates to NCAA tournament seeding. I think both leagues are interested in continuing to develop basketball, both on the men's and women's side, in terms of being a stronger player on the national scene. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, it takes some resources. And so there are other factors, I think, that go into how we can develop as a brand with specific regard to men's and women's basketball within our respective leagues. But I do think that the relationship is necessary in terms of how we schedule. I don't know that my opinion is shared by coaches within the league. I think there's certainly a degree to which some of our coaches would prefer not to have this arrangement and to schedule on your own. And I certainly understand and value that as well. But I do think that we need to allow ourselves the opportunity to collect some data and see how these games play out over the next couple of years. We got this year and next year left in the contracted. Actually, that's not true. We got 2 more years after this year that the arrangement has been extended. So we'll look at the data points after that 4-year plan and certainly look at it again after this year, after next year too, to inform whether we continue or not. But I think it's good for both leagues. as of today anyway, and certainly can change my mind. But as of now, I think it's something that we need to continue to look at and evaluate. And certainly, as we play those teams, need to try to figure out a way to win both at home and on the road.
Now, without going into too much, Jeff, and from what you can share, is there opportunities outside of basketball for the MAC and Sun Belt to continue to expand things, or is it just kind of labeled to basketball?
Right now, it's labeled with basketball. I think we have an opportunity to explore other options. It gets a little bit complicated on the football side, with specific regard to the fact that scheduling is done so far in advance. So most programs are scheduled out for the next 4 or 5 years anyway,
Right.
and so to begin some type of relationship would be difficult. Now there are a lot of MAC and Sun Belt teams that play, but it's just not formalized across the two leagues. And you look across other sports, it gets a little bit more complicated, just in terms of a lot more moving parts, and it's not as strict in terms of how the schedule flows like it is in men's and women's basketball. So I kind of like where we are right now with the arrangement, and certainly would be open to looking at other conference alliances when it comes to potential matchups. But right now, feel pretty good about where we are.
That's the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. Again, Ball State hosts Southern Miss in men's basketball, on the road for women's basketball on February 8th. Jeff, turning our attention to men's volleyball, they picked up a couple of wins last week, Lees McRae and Maryville, and now this week they've got Tusculum for 2 here in Muncie.
Yeah, these are great opportunities for our team to continue to learn its brand of volleyball, create an identity. We had a tough test to start the year, playing on the road at Stanford, at home against BYU, and we're in the top 10, continuing to play really high-level volleyball. But there's also a period of the schedule where you're trying to really develop as a team, create that depth, and I think we're doing that right now before we start playing some opponents within our league. I think the MIVA this year is going to be very competitive, and so I think we've got the team that's built to be competitive at the level that we expect in men's volleyball. But at the same time, you got to prepare yourselves to go in there and win consistently. And so I think our schedule allows for us to do that as we continue to give a lot of guys the opportunity to play and contribute to this high-functioning men's volleyball program.
When you talk about wins, that's what gymnastics has done. They picked up a couple of wins this weekend against Wilberforce and Western Michigan at home, and they had some really star performances across the board. Two that jump out to me on the beam, because the beam always seems to be one of the biggest difference makers. Delaney McMahon and Lindsey Fuller each putting up career highs on the beam to help put Ball State past a 195 score, their season high. Jeff, this program seems like it's rolling right now.
Yeah, they're performing very well, and credit to our athletes who continue to impress. The athleticism that those talented women display is remarkable. And how I'm not sure, Mick, that you and I could walk across that beam without falling off.
Well, it's funny because Megan Teeter, who was a Ball State Gymnastics alum, she was on our broadcast with us on ESPN this week, and she looked at it on TV and she was kind of like, it's 4 inches. How did I do that? And it kind of put her in a starstruck mode too. And I was like, you're saying that? I can't imagine what I would say trying to get on the beam.
That's right. Well, fortunately for us, we have the opportunity to observe and cheer our student athletes on. So congratulations to Joanna Salim and her staff and our talented student athletes for a really dominant performance over the weekend. And on Squishmallows night or afternoon, as the case may be. So a lot of Squishmallows being thrown about Worthen Arena. It was fun to watch.
It was fun. It was a really good environment, and appreciate everybody's support out there for Ball State Gymnastics. Jeff, we also have track and field, Louisville and Notre Dame. They've got some events going on as well. They're right in the thick of it, too. Their season has been rolling so far.
Yeah, just continue to run as fast as you can.
It's a simple task, right?
That's the best advice that I can give, and I know that's something that our coaches are working with our student athletes on. But the indoor season is a short one, and they just continue to develop. I talked to one of our staff members earlier in the week who said, they've been putting a lot of training in this week or over the last couple of weeks, and weren't sure how performances were going to be over the weekend. And certainly as they prepare for some of these larger events in the upcoming weeks. But they were really surprised and pleased at the level of performance that our team competed. There's everything's kind of load management, time management when it comes to getting prepared to play at or to run at the conference championship, and so they're trying to figure that out right now. And but our team continues to perform in a very high level and breaking personal records left and right as they continue to grow and develop. So we're coming down to the final few meets here of the season on the indoor side, and see what we can do in the conference championship.
Men's tennis at home against Dayton as well, Saturday, February 1st. That is a 4 o'clock start. Come support Bill Richards and that crew. That'll be a fun matchup for the Cards.
It certainly will, and they're coming off a thrilling victory over the weekend as well. So it'll be fun to watch those guys square off again inside, right, where it's warmer than it is on the outside. Although, on a beautiful day like today, Mick, it should be 60 degrees outside. It's not quite, but it might feel that way to us as we're thawing out now from a cold January.
You have your baseball glove in your office, right?
I do.
I've got mine in my car. We've got a few minutes after this. Go throw the ball a little
play
bit.
Some catch.
Play some catch. Feels like it is 60 degrees out there. And swim and dive back in action against Akron on the road this weekend. They come off a big win as well from their last meet.
Yeah, they're a team. The women continue to perform pretty well, and the men are working on things, as Coach Agnew told me the other day. But they had a big win over the weekend, so that was motivation to that team as they continue to compete during this swim and dive season.
Well, Jeff, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, anything else on your mind you want to share with Ball State fans?
Well, let's show out on Saturday as we host the women at 1 o'clock, and certainly we look forward to the continuing slate of both men's and women's basketball as we close out the basketball season. Our student athletes continue to feed off the energy that our crowds give, and we've got great opportunities to highlight Ball State athletics in Worthen Arena and in other spaces as our athletics season goes from the winter to the spring, but still lots of opportunity to watch our basketball teams perform, and men's volleyball as well, in addition to 2 more meets on the gymnastics side. So really encourage our fans to come out and support. We had a tremendous crowd at gymnastics and continue to have great crowds at men's and women's basketball and at volleyball. So let's keep showing up and supporting our student athletes, and we'll continue to put out a product that you can be proud of and that's easy to cheer for. So we're trying to do that night in and night out.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, we appreciate you joining the show, and we'll see you all week.
Well, Mick, thanks so much. Go Cards.
They fly down the court and fly through the air.
Right to left, the shifty guard pulls up straightaway 3, sinks it.
And we fly with the Cardinals.
Straightaway Trey lets it loose and buries it.
This is your home for Ball State Cardinals basketball.
Drives baseline left, he throws it off the window and it drops in.
All the action all season long is right here.
Hey, Cardinal fans, welcome back inside This Week in Ball State Sports. And today we have the Ball State Hall of Famer, just recently inducted into Ball State's Hall of Fame, and 3-time Mid-American Conference Player of the Year, Jenny Gilbert from softball. Jenny, really appreciate your time, and congratulations on everything in life.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jenny, what's it been like since the Hall of Fame ceremony for you?
Yeah, just enjoying the holiday season. We got snow here a couple weeks ago down in Dallas, so that was an experience. I got a little taste of Muncie. That part I don't miss about Ball State is the snow, but I'm a Texas girl. But yeah, it's been great. Just enjoying time with family. There's been some changes to my softball business, so we actually change location, so had to move a lot of turf out and just a different setup. We're now going to be outside versus we're inside a building before. And yeah, starting another part-time position at the University of North Texas with Athletes in Action. So yeah, there's a lot of new stuff in 2025 so far.
What have you learned about all these different challenges that you've gone through within changing businesses and being in coaching and then doing other things within your softball career since you've stopped playing?
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of been, you have this plan in your head, but it usually doesn't work out that way. So just having to make adjustments, which anybody that's played softball or baseball, that's part of our sport. And probably with other sports, I'm sure, as well, as just, rolling with the punches. And when it doesn't look like how you want it, it's not going to be pretty, and that's okay. But yeah, it's worked out really well. It's actually been a huge blessing for me to make this change with my business. So yeah, a lot of lessons with softball with that.
What moved you into the direction of wanting to do what you do today?
Yeah, I think so after Tokyo, I really was questioning, should I, when I'm getting back into the workforce, should I pursue college coaching, or should I maybe try to open my own facility? I think I wanted to do the facility thing since 2014. I had actually gone to a conference and I saw another girl who's out of California. She had a facility and was just kind of sharing some videos, and I was like, I really want to do that. I think I could be really good at it, especially in the Dallas area, which is a hotbed for softball. So yeah, it's just kind of been I really just like the teaching part of coaching. And with college coaching, there's so many other elements. You're recruiting, you're traveling, you're a counselor, advisor to these athletes, and I just really enjoyed the teaching part. So I also think it's easier to, have a family someday, and you're just not on the road constantly, which as an athlete, I spent a lot of time on the road. So I just kind of wanted to be in one place. So yeah, the lessons facility chose to go that route, and we've been doing that for 3 years, going on 4, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So I think this is what I'm supposed to do.
And you mentioned the coaching and the traveling. You had a chance to be a coach here at Ball State for a little while. How do you think that being a student athlete and then being a coach has helped prepare you for this part of your journey?
Yeah, it's definitely just that process, right? It's just your go, go, go. And now it's a little bit more slower paced. So I think just experience, right? Like you think that you want one thing, and then the good Lord ends up showing you, hey, this is actually better for you. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time as a student athlete, and then I got to give back as a coach at Ball State, and that was hard to step away because I thought I was going to be in Muncie forever, but the Olympics came knocking, and it's really difficult to do coaching and train for the Olympics, so I did have to make that choice, which was bittersweet, but it all worked out, and yeah, just excited for where I'm at right now.
What was the experience like at the Olympics?
It was different. So it was in 2021, so it was at the height of COVID, but really grateful that we got to do it. I remember we were at training camp in Halifax, Nova Scotia during February, March of 2020. And there was just, we were kind of talking like, oh, there's this thing called COVID, and the WHO deemed it as a pandemic, and so we're all kind of like, oh yeah, it's not going to be as big of a deal, and of course it was. But so yeah, we actually all got back home in March, and then I think the following week, that's when the world shut down. So it was kind of scary because we didn't know if we were going to still go. Like we were kind of like, oh, like this is 2020, this is the year,
right?
We've all been waiting for. And so it was a matter of 2 weeks, actually. We were on Zoom calls with the COC, and they were kind of just updating us what the IOC, so the International Olympic Committee, would share with them. And they were still like, yep, we're still doing this thing. And then Canada, I think, was the first country to say like, no, this isn't safe enough. Like, we're not going to send athletes. And then I think that's when the IOC was like, okay, because there were other countries that were kind of in that same boat. And so they decided to to delay it for another year. So we had another year that we were training. So that kind of, in our minds as athletes, we were kind of ready to be done. There were a few of us that were going to retire at the end of that year. I think there were 6 of us on our team for Canada that ended up retiring. But yeah, once we got there, I mean, it's a different culture, it's Japan. So there's a lot of fish and rice, and the food is different, and the culture is different. And then of course there's the time change. So yeah, we got there 2 weeks before. We were in Anjo City training, and the people there were so sweet. We actually were there in 2018, so we kind of knew all of the people already that were there helping us, like our translator and like just kind of the organizer. And so then we got to the village, and I mean, that was really cool getting to see people from other countries. There were some countries that I didn't even know that were countries, so I had to like relearn my world geography from high school. But yeah, no, it was great. Obviously it's different with COVID. We're all masked up, and we got 6 feet apart, and when we're eating dinner or lunch, we have the plexiglass cubicles that we're in. But yeah, it was safe. We all felt great about it. Now our team decided not to go to the opening ceremonies. I think partially because of the pandemic, and also we were the first game the following day. So we didn't get to experience that in person. And then also we weren't permitted to go to other sport venues, so we couldn't watch other sports compete, which that's kind of the tradition, right? Like you have the opening, closing ceremonies, you go to the other sports and the other venues, and you get like the whole Olympic experience. So that, that was different, but praise the Lord, we got to do it, because very easily we couldn't have, and we all devoted our lives to training, and we, put jobs on hold, relationships on hold in order to do this. But yeah, got a bronze medal out of it, so no regrets.
No regrets indeed, especially pulling home the bronze medal. You mentioned having to wait and the delay to get you guys to play. When you finally had the chance to compete, what was the emotion of that?
Yeah, it was a lot of different emotions. Like we're waiting so long, and there's the excitement of it, but then there's also, I think some of us kind of thought like, it's never going to come type thing. That's just kind of delayed gratification. But yeah, when we got to we played at 2 different stadiums. And when we got to the first stadium, we kind of our coaches were nice. They gave us, 5-10 minutes to just kind of soak everything in and like process it. Like we've all been dreaming of this since we were little, and we've been training for it, our whole lives essentially, but especially with the focus of, yeah, you're for sure going these last 4 years. So we were able to kind of like take it all in and just enjoy being here. And then we started our practice, but yeah, I mean, it's a dream come true. I personally wanted to do that, play in the Olympics for Canada since I was 8. I remember emailing Coach Nicholson, who I played for at Ball State. I would send in like all the emails, like this is my goal. I want to play in Canada, in the Olympics someday. So that had always been in the back of my mind whenever I would step on the field growing up, and just to kind of be there, it was very surreal.
How did being at Ball State as a student athlete help you achieve all of those goals?
Yeah, I think just Ball State was such a blue collar work ethic type program. We were gritty. We knew that we were a mid-major, but we would go beat the Power 5 schools that we would compete against. So I think just like working hard and just grinding it out. You're going to hit a wall when you're in season, but you got to keep pushing through. So that definitely helped me when I was training for Tokyo, because, there were days where, I wasn't 100%. There were even days I didn't want to practice, but, discipline is you do what you need to do when you don't feel like doing it. So those were a lot of lessons. And then, yeah, just competitive every single pitch, fighting back when you were down, all of those types of lessons I learned at BSU.
When you're doing your training now, how much have you pulled together from former coaches or former teammates that help you have success right now?
Yeah, a lot of the drills I use from Ball State, so and a mixture from Canada, but Yeah, also I do mental train with the girls here too. So it's more like sports psychology type stuff, which I actually learned some from my master's degree that I got at Ball State. So it's been really helpful, just like not just the softball part, but the educational piece too, which I love to do. I love, I love to learn, and I think part of that is I want to be able to give that back to the next generation. So yeah, just those little nuggets that I wish that, somebody would have shared with me when I was these girls' age, I think that's where my heart's at.
You mentioned having to deal with some snow down there in Dallas. Have you had to do any training in the snow, or have that just you've had to wait and move that around?
Yeah, we've had to wait. These girls are not, they're Southern. So,
oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like 35 here and they're like, Coach Jen, it's too cold. I'm like, y'all don't even know. It's like, I remember practicing and it's like 25 outside. We'd go on the soccer field at Ball State and practice. So we take some time off.
We had Peyton Kelly on last week's podcast. She's a swim and dive athlete for Ball State. She's from Canada, and she said that she doesn't use mittens until like minus 30 or minus 40 degrees. And is that something that you grew up doing too, or like you used to being in that cold weather?
Yeah, so I'm a Texan, so I grew up in Texas, so I might be a little bit of a weakling when it comes to my Canadian relatives or my Canadian teammates. But yeah, I bundle up. I'm like, you know what? If I'm feeling cold,
with you,
no shame, I'm gonna layer up.
I'm with you, 100%. Jenny Gilbert joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking about her journey and post-Ball State life as well. Jenny, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame a few months ago. What was that like for you to be represented in that way?
Oh, it was such a huge honor. I'm so grateful that I went to Ball State and got to have that experience also with my family and some of my teammates and my teammates' parents, because some teammates couldn't make it, so their parents were very sweet to come in their place. And I had Coach DeFeo there. She recruited me, so that was really special. I think she had like 2 hours of sleep because she was coming off of a game, because she's coaching at West Alabama now. But she was like, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. So, and then Coach Nicholson, his wife came April in his place because he was having recruits that weekend at the University of Akron. So, just getting to experience that and to share my story, and just a really, really special experience.
Do you ever tease Coach Nicholson, by the way, that he coaches for a different team in the MAC?
Oh yeah. When he came last year, I think it was in April, he played at Ball State. And so, nationally, all the alumni that played for him came to get to see him. And I'm like, man, we got to get you back here at some point. But, but it's been great. That's where he is, and he's doing a great job there. But of course, I'm always going to cheer for the Cards whenever he plays against them. So, he's such a great coach.
Love it. Well, Jenny, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, is there anything else you'd like to share with Ball State fans about your journey, your time at Ball State? It can be anything.
No, and just, praise the Lord that I came to Ball State. This is exactly where I was supposed to be. Got great education and great softball experience that has had such an effect on my life. And always going to bleed the red and black. Those are my colors. And just this university has done so much for me. And I get to be a fan now and to celebrate the softball team, obviously. And I'm excited. They're going to start here in a couple weeks. So excited to see what Coach Pena is going to do with them.
Well, Jenny, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations again on your induction and all of your success. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gamebridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.